Did Spotify rob Snoop Dogg of his royalties once his song hit 1 billion streams? Or are we missing the real story here? Because we've all seen this viral video.
They just sent me some shit from Spotify where I got 1 billion streams, right? My publisher hit me. I said, break that down. How much money is that? That shit wasn't even $45,000.
That's crazy.
But did you know there were 13 songwriters involved in that song? And today, Spotify's head of music, Sam DeBoff, reveals exactly what went down. And trust me, it's not what you think.
I love Snoop. I want him to get all the money, as much money as he wants. He deserves in my book. Yeah, that's an interesting one because it shows how complicated music can be. If you have 1 billion streams on Spotify, we're going to pay out $3 to $5 million for it.
Right.
The range is because it depends what countries the streams are in, and premium listeners, so on. 3 to 5 million. That's well documented. Have you worked on any billion stream songs?
I'm getting there.
Good.
I'm getting there.
Well, I'll circle back when you do. Yeah, the overall payout, it's like 3 to 5 million for 1 billion streams. 80% or so goes to the recording side, 20% or so goes to the publishing side.
So when you look at the master and the publishing side, the master side is normally the sound recording, like who paid for the record, who paid for the producer, the engineer, the studio time, right? You're probably the master owner if you paid for it. If you did a collab, like a 50-50 deal with a producer where you didn't pay anything, then maybe you split that master 50-50. If it's a label deal, then they probably own the master and you're maybe getting 15 to 20% of it. And then, of course, you have the publishing side, which is the songwriters who wrote the song. And that's a much smaller royalty than the master side. Let's keep going.
You probably know the wild world of publishing better than I do, but there's mechanical, there's performance. For that song, I think it was Young, Wild, and Free by Snoop, released with Atlantic, so major label. I don't know Snoop's terms on the recording, but 80% of the 3 to 5 million goes to the recording side. Wiz Khalifa, Bruno Mars were on the track too. So was there an advance someone's recouping? What are the splits there? I couldn't tell you. On the publishing side, that's, around 20% of that payout. And on that song, there's 13 songwriters. Ooh. And so I don't know if there's samples, I don't know what else, but there's 13 writers on that song. And so when I was doing some in the back of the napkin, I think maybe Snoop was talking about just the mechanical royalties that he might have gotten from that one song. And so, yeah, basically, it's a good example of if you're DIY artist, things are pretty simple. If you own 100% of your music and you write and produce it yourself, if you have there are billion stream songs that are fully independent, that person's getting the full 3 to 5 million.
So to make sure that you're getting all the royalties due to you, you need to understand the master side and the publishing side. So if you distribute your music, let's say with a CD Baby, a TuneCore, DistroKid, there's tons of distributors. The master royalty always gets paid directly to whoever uploaded it, and I don't know how you have your splits, but if you uploaded the song through your distributor, that master royalty percentage will come to you. Now, what about the other side, the publishing side that Snoop was really talking about? Well, you need to make sure that you have a publishing admin or a publisher collecting those mechanical royalties as a songwriter. Now, I know CD Baby has a publishing admin. I know TuneCore has a publishing admin you can sign up for. Normally they take 20% commission. They don't own the publishing. They're just collecting it for you and they take a fee. This is different than you just registering your song with BMI, ASCAP, etc. They don't collect these types of royalties. You need a publishing admin. If you distribute your music with, let's say, a DistroKid or another distributor that doesn't have the publishing admin service, I recommend Songtrust. They're a great third party that can collect those royalties for you. Again, they take a small little commission as well too, but this is what we call black box royalties. Okay, these are all the royalties that are probably sitting there that are not getting collected, and if you have songs with thousands, hundreds of thousands of streams, millions of streams, I can guarantee you there is money being left on the table, and there's only a certain amount of years that I think they go back and collect those. I don't know if it's 3 or 5 years, I can't remember, but it's not sitting there forever, so you want to make sure that you get these songs registered and have somebody collecting them on your behalf.
Once you're signing label deals, sometimes it's great terms, right? Maybe you get a life-changing advance, and that's awesome, but you're just not going to earn as much back
in royalties.
And so that's where, Snoop knows his own terms. He owns his own record label now, so I hope he's making even more. So I want Snoop getting all the money he wants. But yeah, that's what happens. That's like $3 to $5 million for a billion streams. And from there, it's like how many writers you have, what's your label deal, all those things. And
pie gets split up.
Yeah, it's a good example of how confusing the music industry is, because we do this loud and clear report where we're like, here's all the data we have on our side. No other streaming service is publishing any data. We, have no idea how many artists are generating different amounts on any other streaming service. And then from the label and distributor side, a lot of the deal terms are opaque. Folks don't know how much money is making it to the artist and songwriter. And people ask us sometimes, they'll be like, okay, so how much is this person making? It's like, we don't know. We know how much they pay out.
Right.
If they're on a DIY distributor, we can probably guess they're keeping 100% of it.
Yeah.
But, that's where I hope the industry gets even more transparency. Because, that's when artists feel empowered to understand, here's the revenue opportunity on each service. Here's what each deal means. If I go major, it means this. If I go indie, it means this. If I do it myself, it means that. Like, I have to be this popular to earn these amounts. That's what we want. That's why we've been doing 5 loud and clear reports every year. So I hope we just start to see like the whole industry start to do stuff like that.
I hope it's inspiring to see independent artists, DIY artists, do it yourself, like crushing it, getting millions, billions of streams. They are out there, and there's a lot more artists doing it than you think. Just because they're not a household name doesn't mean they're not crushing it. Now, what's really interesting is a lot of artists know how much everything costs, whether that's production, mixing, marketing, etc. It's like, oh, it costs too much, but they don't always realize how much something is worth. I remember when I made this album many years ago, and it cost me like 10 grand to make it, which is like peanuts compared to what I think about how much stuff costs now. And this is for 11 songs. And I remember even my producer, because I was like kind of complaining a little bit, like, oh, he's getting the money or whatever. And he's like, you don't even know what you're getting. Like, you don't understand, what I'm actually doing for you, because I didn't. And a lot of my other friends were like, oh, you're paying too much. I'm like, no, I'm getting great songs. I'm getting a great product. And I didn't know that this record would go on to sell 10,000 albums a week in Japan, and over the lifetime earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, not just from selling CDs, but digital streams, and continue to pay me over and over again. You see, as artists, we can get caught up in this mentality of keep trading our time for dollars. We play a show, we get paid. We show up at our job, we get paid. But you need to go into that mindset of an entrepreneur and a label owner instead of signing to the label, so that, when you do work, you don't get paid right away, but you do work that pays you for a lifetime. So this was an investment that has now continued to pay me for a lifetime and will continue to, as opposed to all the shows that I played. I only got paid once. All those hours I put in at my IT job many years ago, I only got paid once, but my music pays me over and over and over again. So you want to start investing your time and your energy in things that can pay you for a lifetime. It's a complete mindset shift, and it's what I call Swiss dollars, which stands for sales while I sleep soundly. This is one of the strategies I teach on my Spotify 5-day challenge. It's also some of the strategies I teach in my book, Spotify Profits 2.0. This is on Amazon, Audible. You can get the ebook, physical book on Amazon. I'll put the links below. But I just want to encourage you, keep investing in yourself. Learn the business. The only reason actually I'm able to survive is because when I did sign a deal with a label, it was a licensing deal. And so it meant that the label only had rights to the album for a certain amount of years, and then I got my album back. Most artists, and I can guarantee you probably in this song that we're talking about here with Wiz Khalifa, Bruno Mars, and Snoop, if it's an Atlantic deal, I can guarantee you that they own the masters. They're not just licensing them, they own them in perpetuity. That means forever. When you see that word perpetuity in a contract, you better understand what the terms are, and if someone is owning the master for life, then you want to make sure that you're getting a really good upfront advance so you can take that money, invest it back into your career, real estate investments, whatever it is, so that you're taken care of.